If you see Hurricane Debbie's coming and they're gonna smash this area of Florida, if you have the means to be able to, couldn't you literally be like, all right, I'm packing up and I'm gonna head somewhere safe?
Ian is a prime example. Right where the eye came ashore, they lost the boat and had to be rescued by Coast Guard in the middle of the night.
Just north in St. Petersburg tonight, where sheets of rain suddenly came crashing down.
A hard-hit area from Hurricane Helene
Melted, left ravaged.
The third fastest.
This is a Category 5
hurricane is going to pack a major punch.
All right, if you missed the last video, we're down here in St. Petersburg, Florida, where Butch gave us a tour top to bottom of his 44-foot DeFever trawler boat. And I really wanted to sit down and learn as much as I could from him about what it takes to boat down here, get as much advice as possible because I really want to move from Pittsburgh down to Florida and continue the boat life. So sit back, relax, and enjoy getting to know Butch as we go through an interview with him and figure this out together. All right, so go ahead and just give us your name, how long you've been boating for, and what originally got you into boating.
Yeah, so Butch Ringelspa, born and raised in St. Petersburg, Florida, life on the water. My family, they're all boaters. They lived in this marina back in the late 70s, early 80s. My father had the second boat in this marina. Parents got married on their boat, and I recently got married to my wife on this boat, so it kind of came around full circle. But back when they lived on their sailboat, my brother and sister were living on board. My mother was pregnant with me, and that was just going to be one too many kids living on that boat.
Yeah.
So they actually sold it the day I was born, and it was just in me to live on a boat one day. And I got into marine science, and I just wanted to be on the water all the time. And what better way to do it than living on a boat? So here we are, 14 years later. I've been living aboard amongst multiple vessels. This boat I've had for the last 8 years. So been here in St. Pete, cruising around to the Keys a couple times, all up and down the Gulf Coast of Florida, over to Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, Stewart, Lake Okeechobee, all that stuff.
I'm so jealous of all of that. It's amazing. Okay, so as far as like, you know, dockage fees, but like we'll just call it like rent compared to if you were to live in St. Pete, or, you know, we'll talk St. Pete just because that's where we are. We won't, you know, cover all of Florida. But just as far as where we are, St. Pete, if you were to get like a house for rent, like what is it comparably living on a boat and paying for all the fees that are involved with docking here? Is it more expensive, less expensive? Or?
Yeah, it's variable. You know, if you have a loan on a boat, then that, of course, adds up. And when you add that with a slip fee, electric, all of that, then it would be more comparable with paying rent somewhere in downtown St. Pete or somewhere in the outskirts here. But if you can buy the boat outright, you can live pretty well on the cheap living aboard at a marina. Now this is a pretty affordable marina here, so for a boat of this size, the base rent is somewhere around $680, plus they'll tack on...
Is this monthly?
This is monthly,
okay.
Yep. They'll tack on a couple $100 on top of that for your live aboard fee. So there's facilities here for full-time living with showers, bathrooms, laundry. We have security here. There's a pump out boat that comes and pumps out our holding tank once a week. So there's a lot of things that go into that. So
do they charge you by the foot here, or do they charge you just by the size of the slip that you're using?
Yeah, this one's by the size of the slip. So they have different size categories for the slip. So this is a 45-foot slip. So if I moved into a larger slip, I'd be paying for that size slip, not how long my boat is. But other marinas, they'll just charge you by the foot. And some will pull out that tape measure and measure you from the tip of your swim platform to the tip of your anchor, and they will charge you in full for that. So it all depends on where you are.
Okay, that makes sense. And then do the prices fluctuate based on the time of year, or is it just kind of all year round?
Yeah, so that's more of an annual basis that you have that slip rent. And also that rate is based on me being a Florida resident. So if you're not a Florida resident, they tack on a little bit more cost to that. Of course. And it varies from marina to marina. This is a municipal marina, so it is a little bit more affordable. You go to a privately owned and managed marina, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive.
Okay, that makes sense. So if you could buy the boat outright, it actually can be more affordable than paying rent or buying a house.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing you definitely want to be aware of is insurance.
That was one of my questions. I was gonna get up to that one.
Yep. So especially being in Florida or anywhere in the hurricane belt, insurance is a big deal to worry about, both for cost and getting insurance. The marina is going to require you to have insurance, a certain level of hull coverage. And then on top of that, it's up to you if you want to get windstorm coverage and if that underwriter will even cover you or not.
That was a big concern of mine, is because I saw a video that you posted showing the giant boats getting rocked by, was it Hurricane Debbie?
It was.
Yeah, and there was, it was crazy. And I'm like, how do insurance companies even insure boats when they know that stuff happens all the time?
Yeah, it's a big problem right now because there's less insurance companies now that are covering for windstorms, especially after the last few years here in Florida, most notably with Hurricane Ian, where that was devastating down in Fort Myers and just knocked out so many boats. So every year insurance costs go way up and the coverage goes down.
Yeah. So is there anything you can do to prepare for the storm? If you know there's a hurricane coming, like, is there anything you can do to prep for that? Like, can you get your boat out of the water? I mean, on this size of a boat, it's got to be very limited on where you can get it pulled out.
Yeah, there's several things you can do. One, like you mentioned, getting hauled out. There's actually boat yards that you can sign up with them for a hurricane plan. So if there is a named storm, they will haul you out and they have a spot to store you for that storm.
No way.
Now you have to pay them a certain fee,
Of course, yeah.
non-returnable fee for that season, but insurance companies like that. So if you can show that you've got this hurricane plan with a boat yard, you can do that.
And what are those prices looking like for, like, do you have that for this boat?
I don't.
Okay.
And I don't know what, because there's several boat yards that offer that, and I don't really know what the up-to-date cost is.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a gamble. So even when you get the boat hauled out, there's instances where boats get knocked off of jack stands, and the yards are obviously on the water, so they can get flooded too.
So what I think in my not Floridian mindset is, like, if you see Hurricane Debbie's coming and they're gonna smash this area of Florida, couldn't you, if you have the means to be able to, couldn't you literally be like, all right, I'm packing up and I'm gonna head somewhere safe?
Oh man, yeah, that is it's definitely a tough decision to make, especially where we're located here on the west coast of Florida, because these storms are primarily coming from the south, and they will curve up this way, and it's always a roll of the dice on where exactly it's going to go. They know generally where it's going to go a lot of the time, but a little shift this way, a little shift that way makes a big difference with these big storms. Ian is a prime example. We thought we were going to be the point of impact for landfall of Ian, and it was going to be a major hurricane, and this is a very this is an area that's very susceptible to flood because of the way the bay is shaped and whatnot. So it was definitely nerve-wracking when Ian was coming. Now, it made a last-minute turn into Fort Myers, and originally I was thinking, well, maybe I'll take the boat down south if the storm's going to come up here, and I'll try to cut across the state or whatever. And a lot of boaters did that. I know one in specific that had this exact model. They left Venice, headed south, and ended up anchoring just off of Fort Myers, right where the eye came ashore, and they lost the boat and had to be rescued by Coast Guard in the middle of the night.
No way.
And a lot of folks lost their boat because they brought their boat where they thought it was going to be safe, and it wasn't. And I stayed put, and we were fine here. So it's a major roll of the dice. You never know. Now, say if you're down in the Keys or something like that, you have the choice of going up the West Coast or the East Coast. And so you've got better opportunity to outrun the storm.
Yeah, that was a big concern of mine. That one was a little questionable. So you personally, why do you prefer living on a boat?
I prefer the lifestyle, and I love being outside. Like, I am happiest outdoors, and being on the water is in my blood, and it's just the way of life for me. That's all I want to do, and it's just very freeing. When you can just take your home to somewhere else whenever you want. I went down to the Keys for 4 months last year just because I wanted to.
That's amazing. Now, during that time, so during the 4 months, are you still paying for your slip here?
So
then you're paying double. So you're paying rent down there, or like, transient docking or whatever. And,
exactly. Now, of course, you can anchor out and not pay any marina.
That's just free. You can just go out and just anchor, and you're free.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a matter of running your generator or what, there's solar
taking the little
now.
boat in to...
Exactly.
That's awesome. That's good to know that, like, there is free parking everywhere. It's just a matter of what you're okay with. Have you ever been boating in freshwater? Like, Have you been always an ocean guy?
Mostly an ocean guy.
Yeah.
The extent of my freshwater cruising has been crossing the state of Florida through the Okeechobee Waterway.
Yeah.
And I've done that about 3 or 4 times now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So how extreme is the maintenance that you need to be doing on this boat because of the salt water? Because my boat personally, like I have a closed cooling system. However, it's still sucking water in to cool down, and I don't think I have the proper systems on board, like to flush everything out if I were to bring my boat down here.
Yeah. So that's one big consideration with your air conditioning, because you get biological fouling.
Yeah.
So you have oysters, barnacles, mussels, and stuff that will grow inside those lines and choke off your water flow, and also make your air conditioners less efficient because there's scale on the heat transfer lines. So that's something you got to acid treat on a regular basis to make sure those are all functioning.
So you're like flushing all the
properly.
lines with an acid that's made for that, just to like help diminish the growth inside of everything.
Yeah, exactly. And also on your intake, your sea strainers and your through hulls, those get fouled up as well, and you got to make sure those are cleaned. So you got to clean the hull on a regular basis when you're down here, because
How often do you need to clean the hull and do these? Like, how often are you doing all this maintenance? Are you hauling it out like once a year, or is this like monthly?
So you can either dive the boat yourself and clean it yourself. That's of course
like
the
being
most.
in the water and
Yep. So you can clean the barnacles and stuff off, the algae growth, or you can hire a company to maintain the bottom of your boat. And so this boat gets cleaned about once a month while it sits in the water, and it has anti-fouling paint.
Yeah.
That helps. And then every 3 years the boat gets hauled out for a bottom job repainting and all of that stuff.
All right, yeah, that's about reasonable. That's what I was kind of expecting. If you were to pick like one thing, like what is your favorite part of the boat life in general?
My favorite part of boat life is just the ever-changing scenery, either weather or where you're located. I mean, it's so dynamic when you're out on the water. You're not just staring at a tree or a wall or whatever. You see the changing of the clouds. You feel the breeze in your face. You get the rain. Now you have to deal with the crazy weather too. That's all part of paying the price to live in paradise. But being outdoors and feeling the natural elements is my favorite part.
Yeah, kind of like you mentioned earlier, it's like there's ups and downs to everything just based on what you're into. And I think off camera we had mentioned, or you mentioned, it's like how often can you live somewhere where you have views like this? I mean, even just sitting at the marina is pretty great views, but I can only imagine once you get out there and you start, the views have to just be incredible, like better than you'd be getting at any house in Florida.
Yeah,
you know,
you have more than 360-degree views. I mean,
Yeah.
You have above water, below water. You can be anchored next to an island, look off at the distance, and there's nothing.
Yeah.
So it's just incredible.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a lot of stuff that like people, it's hard to convey why people go through all the headaches of boats. It's like, it's very hard to like explain that to somebody, because a lot of my videos I've expressed like, even just the title, like boat life is better than van life type of thing. Because I've done van life for the last 6 years, and everyone's like, I watched your video and it just seems like nothing but headaches. Like you have to drive slow. It takes you forever to get places. You're so limited. And I'm like, yes, you're correct in all of those things, but just being on the water is something that you just have to try yourself and really get a feel for.
It's priceless.
It is.
And I did this starting at a young age. I started living aboard when I was in my mid-20s.
Yeah.
Most people live this life once they're retired.
Yes.
And I've always thought that, why am I going to wait till I'm retired and my body can't work the way it does now? And then it's a steep learning curve to learn boat systems and how to maintain and operate them. So you have these retired couples that dream to do this, and then they have to learn all this stuff at that point in life. So now, I figured I'll do it young. Yeah, I might not be able to break as free and far as they can because they have no ties to land.
Yeah.
But I can learn everything, enjoy the life, and then when I can toss the lines off the dock, I am
100%.
already up to speed, and I can really take advantage of the boat life.
100%. Yeah. I wish more people would try the boat life, but it is such a steep barrier to entry, even knowledge-wise.
Yeah.
Like you can get a small boat for very cheap and just get into it, but it seems like the barrier to entry to learn everything, like me being able to come meet you and get all this information is like a gold mine, like not many people can just show up to a marina and just be like, hey, what am I doing? How do I get into this life? Like, what is the first step of getting into this, you know? And that leads me to another question, like, what advice do you have for someone like myself who has only boated in the freshwater of Pennsylvania? I mean, I live on my boat full time. I'm starting to learn a lot about the systems and whatnot, but I really want nothing more than to come down here and be boating in some gorgeous ocean water and exploring with like unlimited bounds. As where I'm at, I have 20 miles, I hit another dam, and then 20 miles, I hit another one, and it's 2,000 miles via river just to get to the Gulf of Mexico, whereas I want to be somewhere like this, but it's just such a heavy change up from where I'm at to now. Like, what type of advice do you have for?
You know, it's multi-tiered on my advice to you there. One, of course, you have YouTube at your fingertips. You can obviously see things from afar and learn a ton from all of these different channels out there, but also reaching out to people who are doing it and see if you can crew on their boat and help out and get the real world experience, hands-on experience, because that's really where you're going to learn. And get on as many boats as you can, go to boat shows, check out as many different locations where boaters you know, hang out, and you'd be amazed how accommodating they are. You just meet somebody at the bar or whatever, and they're like, hey, come check out my boat. Hey, you want to go help me bring it from Florida to Maine? So there's a lot of those opportunities. It's just getting yourself exposed to them.
Yes, so that's one of my favorite things about boating is usually the people are the most welcoming, nice, fun, happy people. Like they're usually so easy to talk to and very accommodating.
It's a fantastic community, and a lot of people who get into the boat life, they do it for the community. And you know, everything else that comes along with it is butter. But it's an amazing place to be, and all the people you meet. And you know, one instance of just being exposed to opportunity, I was docked actually years ago on the transient dock here, and a super yacht pulled up behind me. It was a 92-foot Pershing super yacht. It was like a $10 million boat, and met with the crew, hung out with them. They took the boat down to Longboat. They had a falling out with a crew member, and they ringed me up the next day and said, hey, can you help us move this down to the Keys and then Fort Lauderdale? So here I am cruising along at 39 knots on a $10 million boat, getting exposure to something I never thought I would, but it was just because I put myself in.
That's what you got to do. You got to put yourself. You gotta be outgoing and you know, and put yourself in uncomfortable situations. One last little bit is like an idea that I've had in my own head is maybe like. You can steer me in the right direction here, but I've been thinking about potentially buying just like a little center console just to get my feet wet down here, like get it in the water, cruise around, start learning as much as I can, meeting more and more people, instead of just committing to buying a trawler or you know a much bigger boat, like something small that I could trailer myself and just kind of learn a little bit. That's been an idea of mine, is to get something smaller like that to.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, it gets you out there. It gets you exposure to the environment of the locations you want to go to, so you can learn those places and not be surprised when you get there what it's going to be like.
Exactly, yeah. When you've taken your trips down, say from here to the Keys, like how long does it take to get from here to the Keys, or?
So it could take anywhere from, if you go straight from here to the Keys to an overnight leg, you can be there within 25 to 30 hours. If you want to take your time getting down there and gunk-holing your way down, staying in marinas and anchorages, you know, I've taken anywhere from a few days to over a week. So it's all on the pace that you want to go, what your schedule allows. And you know, one thing with being on a boat, schedule can be your worst enemy, because it can put you into situations that are not so pleasant with weather and whatnot. But unfortunately, not everybody can have an open-ended schedule. There's always a reason you have to be somewhere by a certain time.
Exactly.
But you know, if you have the freedom to just go at your own pace, man, boat life, trawler life is the way to go, because you got your home with you everywhere you go.
Yeah, you're really selling me on this here. Like I had seen the trawlers, and my biggest thing was how slow they are, and I was like, I don't know if that's really for me. But seeing this in person is so much different than videos, and this is incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, when you buy a trawler, you're not really stuck with a slow boat. There are trawler-like boats that have bigger power plants that you can go faster. So not every trawler is going to be slow. There are some that you can go a little bit quicker. But there's a lot of different types and makes out there.
Well, I cannot thank you enough for answering a random message from a stranger on the internet from YouTube and inviting us onto your boat and showing us everything and giving me all this information. This has been so incredibly helpful. I'm hoping soon when you get your next boat, we'll have to meet up because I will have a boat down here eventually. This is the biggest first step of help to get me going, to get me down here, and I can't thank you enough. It's been awesome meeting you, and yeah, man, thank you so much for everything.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you reaching out. I love being a part of this stuff, and that's the beauty of social media and YouTube is you connect with all sorts of people from all over the world. And
if you guys want to check out his channel, again, I'll have it listed down in the description below. He documents everything on this boat. I mean, you've had a channel for how long on YouTube?
I've had a YouTube channel for close to 8 years now, I think. It's been hit or miss in how often I post videos, but it's been all about boat life, tips and tricks, how to maintain and operate a boat of size. There's been several boats that I've had on the channel, and I do yacht tours as well. So I'll show you different types of boats and what they're all about. So it gives you a better idea of what's out there and something you might be interested in.
Yeah, so definitely check his channel out, subscribe to him, leave a like, and also if you're not subscribed to this channel, I don't know what you're doing, subscribe to me as well, subscribe to us both. If you love the boat content, there's a lot more of it coming. Hopefully I'll be down in Florida soon boating with him on my own boat. But thank you guys for watching this video. I appreciate all the support, and I will see you guys for the next one. I want to emphasize another really cool thing that he said. We started talking about it off camera. I'm like, wait, we need to record this because it was such good information. Like the barrier to entry, which a lot of people see these huge boats and think like that's unattainable. People just immediately start thinking like, I could never have a big boat like that. But he started mentioning some stuff. So listen to what he says here about how he started personally, and it's really cool to hear. So, okay, so one thing I think people see these huge boats. This to me is a huge boat. Maybe not to you anymore, you've been on it for so long, but this is a huge boat and everyone sees these, and at least in my own head, I'm like, all right, they've been just doing that forever, they understand it, they're big boat people, that's just who they are. But like you specifically, what was your very first boat? No, I don't care how small it was, if it was a canoe or whatever it was, like what was your first boat you've ever owned?
Yeah, so my first boat was like a little 9-foot John boat.
Like similar to the one that's on the roof.
Yeah, about almost, I think the dinghy on this deck is bigger than that little John boat, so, and more powerful.
That's crazy.
So started off little and then graduated up to the next little size skiff and then a 21-foot center console and then to a 38-foot Chris Craft motor yacht. And so it's just been a gentle graduation to the point that I am now. And, this is a 44-foot boat. I'm looking to get bigger now. I have a wife and a stepkid now, and they want to do the boat life. So we need more cabins, more space, and more volume. So our goal is to get the next bigger boat so we can cruise up and down the East Coast, go down to the Caribbean, whatever.
Heck
so
yeah, man. What size boat are you looking to upgrade to?
We want to be in the 55 to 65 foot range, something that has 3 to 4 staterooms. So I work remote, she does as well for the most part, so we gotta have a little office space and flex space and then a place for the kiddos.
Yeah. Do you ever take a second and just like think back, like, wow, I came from an 8-foot little John boat with a tiny motor on it to now I have staterooms and kitchens?
Oh my goodness. It's been absolutely surreal. And I remember when I first got my boat to live on, every day that I walked down the dock to get to my boat, I was just like giddy. Like, I can't believe I'm actually walking down a dock to my home. And it's just been surreal. There were times that I was so frustrated. I just wanted to live on a boat, and I had so many challenges ahead of me. And I pushed through all of them, and I was like, man, I'm never gonna get there. I finally got there. So if you want to do it, you can make it happen. You just have to stay persistent, and you'll get there.
Yeah, that's amazing advice. I love that. All right, these videos were filmed just prior to the hurricanes in the exact location that the hurricanes were hitting, right in downtown St. Petersburg. Now that it's all done, we're gonna call Butch and see how everything's been going. I talked to him after Helene. I have not talked to him after Milton, so we're gonna call him right now and see how everything went with the boat. Butch, how's it going?
All right, what's happening, Brandon?
Not too much, man. So where are you at right now?
I am in Macon, Georgia. Of all places.
When did you get there? Did you get there after Helene? Did you stay for Helene?
No, yeah, I stayed down in St. Pete for Helene, helped the new owner of aquaculture prepare for the storm.
Yeah.
And then when Milton was coming our way, we evacuated on Monday and came up to a friend's place up in Macon and just been hanging here.
Wow, and how did aquaculture handle Helene?
Amazingly well. So, a lot of houses did poorly throughout the Tampa Bay area with flooding and everything, and all the boats just floated up with the tide. But the the tide water came up around like 5 to 6 feet above the dock and came up over the shore power pedestals quite a bit, but the boats all fared well.
Wow, so the docks didn't get destroyed, the boats didn't get destroyed, you didn't get destroyed?
Yeah, no, everything was great. There was like one boat that ended up on a finger pier, and I think there's one boat in another basin that sunk, but other than that,
wow,
most of the boats did well. If they prepared, they did fine.
That's good numbers, because it's crazy, because we were literally just on the boat with you, and then fly back to Pittsburgh, and all of a sudden we see tons of hurricanes coming straight for where we just were, and I'm like, oh no, I'm like, Butch and his boat, I know you sold it, but still, I know that's your baby, and I don't want any boats sinking. What about after Milton? Is everything still good after Milton?
So the marina took a little bit more of a beating during Milton. I saw a lot of photos of boats that had holes in them from hitting the docks or each other, and seawalls just being punished by the impending waves coming into the bay. So it definitely was a little bit more serious of a situation with the amount of wind. I think we had wind gusts of like 103 miles per hour in downtown St. Pete. So that was a gnarly storm. And luckily we were on the north side of it, didn't get the flooding that they did on the south side. I haven't heard reports yet of how things fared down towards Sarasota, Nokomis, Venice and all that. But St. Pete as a whole did okay.
Well, that's good. I mean, so aquaculture survived Milton as well.
Yeah. So the new owner took it down south to Fort Myers and into the Caloosahatchee River, and they moored up just on the edge of Lake Okeechobee and Clewiston.
Oh.
So they were several locks in, so they were safe and sound from any storm surge. They just had a little wind and rain, and they were fine.
Oh, so they left when they saw Milton coming, and they took the boat south, and then... Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, serendipitously, the owners had plans to take the boat from St. Pete Marina on October 4th, regardless of a storm coming or not.
Oh,
and it
wow.
just happened to be good timing that they left on October 4th and had a couple of days to get down to Fort Myers, up to Caloosahatchee, and moored up safely up that way.
Wow. Well, I'm very glad to hear that the boat survived after taking the long tour and doing the interview with you and everything. I was man, after just seeing that whole boat and how much work you've done to it over the years, I'm like, if these two hurricanes take that thing out, it'll be the saddest thing ever. So Gunnar and I we were concerned, and it's good to see that you're safely in Georgia, away from the mess. The boat survived, the new owners survived, so this is good news.
Yeah. Huge relief.
And one of the first questions I asked you during the interview was, if there's a hurricane coming, what do you do? Not having any idea that Helene and Milton were going to be coming. And it was just kind of crazy because you were telling me like the options of what you can do when a hurricane's coming. And we went into like a lot of depth about that. And then I go back to Pittsburgh, and boom, 2 hurricanes in a row.
Yeah, it's insane. And this is the time of the year that we have to be concerned on the west coast of Florida. And, you're like, towards the end of the summer, you start seeing the potential for cold fronts coming down. You're just waiting for that cool weather, and then, we've got a major hurricane to get through before we get there.
Well, I'm very glad that everyone's safe. You guys survived. The boat's good, and I mean, I'm sure there's so much devastation down there that's going to take a long time to recover from. But I'm glad to hear that you guys are good, the new owners are good, and the boat's good.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of rebuild in our area, and it's been a 1-2 punch for a lot of people. So
big time, yeah.
We'll just hope for a cold front to come through, cool things down, and start getting us into the wintertime and get us out of hurricane season.
Yep. Well, I'll be looking forward to that because I'm still trying to come down there. I will be boating with you at some point. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to that. You got to beat the cold weather up north and come down to us, and it's really great.
It's getting chilly here. I already want to get out, but
I know.
We'll see. But all right, man, it was really good talking to you. I'm glad to hear everything's good with you in the boat.
Yeah, thanks so much, Brandon.
All right, man. Take care.
Yeah, see you soon.
Well, it's great to hear that Butch and everybody are safe down there. The boat survived because it's a freaking gorgeous boat that he spent a ton of years and hours of work on, and just so much time went into that boat. So it's good to hear everything's great. He's safe, the boat's safe, the new owners are safe. I'm wrapping up this video right now, so thank you guys for watching. Again, I think I've had like 3 outros in this video already, but I will see you guys for the next video. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. See you for the next one.